How you doing, folks? I'm sure you've realised at this point in time that I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment, and that goes far beyond just the likes of Lister engines, lawnmowers, and Volkswagens. I sometimes like to frequent the odd charity shop and see what sort of bits and pieces they have there. And I picked up this Pioneer hi-fi system, a MIDI hi-fi from around 1984-85. So not much newer than me. I was 82, so that's my own hi-fi, the current functioning one, the current incumbent, as you could say. And this one here is a very nice looking piece of gear altogether. And apparently the whole assembly is CBX949. Now you can see there, for example, the different modules have different part numbers. So, you know, I mean, the whole kind of assembly takes that part number. But I have a bit more research to do. Now, I literally haven't turned it on yet or anything. I have done nothing to it. Well, I have actually. I've stripped back the speaker wires because they were looking a bit crusty and connected them in. You'll see there's a total of 6 speakers. So we've two two-way speakers and then a surround speaker on the top. And then looking at the back, you can see that there's only one pair of speaker outputs there, and it came with this junction box. So I think 2 of those speakers actually didn't come with the hi-fi, and they were actually bought after the fact. So they have that junction box wired in. The only thing is I don't like the way they just used the normal coaxial cable to wire it into that. I don't think it's able to handle the power properly. So we might change that at some point. And I kind of neatened up some of the wiring to some degree anyway. I mean, believe me, it's better than it was. It's still not perfect, but a couple of cable ties and a bit of insulation tape here and there should see that right. But next step really is to turn it on, plug it in and turn it on. So they've done the usual trick from the 1980s of wiring two wires into one plug. I'd say I was guilty of doing that at some point or another as well too, but it works. So let's plug it in. No magic smoke coming out anyway, so that's always a good start. It came with the remote control, it came with the manuals down the bottom, and the CD player is one of those weird old school type of cassette type CD players where you put 6 CDs in one of these cassettes and then stick it in there. And the idea was that you'd have that same type of CD changer in your car as well too. In a Mark II Golf I had years ago, I actually did have that, but I didn't have this type of CD player, so the cassette thing just always stayed in the boot of the car. I suppose if you had both, it would be kind of handy if you kind of listen to CDs very often. I don't actually listen to CDs that often. I don't listen to them often at all anymore. I tend to just stick with the likes of Spotify and YouTube as well too via Bluetooth, and then vinyls for when I'm kind of wanting to sit down and properly listen to music. So anyway, without further ado, let's press the power button. Hey, it even says hello. Well, isn't that nice? There we go, the CD player's on as well too, so we have life. So let's get ourselves set up and put a CD on, see how we fare out. Right, so first things first, we take one of these cassettes out, we open them like that, and we pop a CD in. Kind of one of the problems with YouTube, to be honest with you, is that we have rights management issues with practically everything. So it's going to restrict the audience for this because I'm putting on a commercial track. But nonetheless, let's do this. So hit play. So now it's starting to. Yeah, that's the young lad you can hear in the background there. So the CD player is now going through all the CDs in the cassette. Strangely enough, it actually hasn't played the first one yet. I would have expected it would have just started with that one, but it didn't. So maybe it's just not finding anything, so we could have a problem here. Old CD player and that. The other thing as well too is, I seem to remember that actually you put the CD in upside down in this, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually try that now afterwards. So yeah, see, you press 1, it says disc, so it's not seeing the disc, so let's pop that out. Kind of like the eject mechanism. So flip that over. And pop this in. My good lady wife is videoing this for me. You can say hello there, Aoife.
Hi.
So hence why I'm hands-free today and I don't have you in a tripod. So let's press play now and see what happens. Hopefully we have liftoff.
Ah.
Well, hey! We're in business! 1985 CD player and it still works. That's Pioneer old school, made in Japan for you. You just don't get that anymore. If this was modern rubbish, it wouldn't last that long. It's never had the opportunity to prove itself yet, but I can assure you it won't. So, that speaker's working. Little surround speaker's working there. Okay, so we've these 4 speakers here working. So, looking good. It's free by Ultramate. The long intro version. Doesn't sound bad. And you've got the little back equalizer as well too. So have a bit of a play with that. CD Direct takes out the equalizer. My dad has a very similar hi-fi to this. It's kind of a cousin of it, if you know what I mean. His has a digital graphic equalizer, but nice piece of gear, and for the price I got it for, I am really impressed. Now, I want to see why those 2 speakers down the bottom are not working, because they're actually all wired in. So let's have a play. First of all, we go with our balance. Yeah, you see when I steer that to the left, we're losing our volume. So I wonder, is that to do with the phono cables, the different cut-up used for the speaker cable. So I think, as I said, I'll be replacing them anyway. Yeah, see it. So essentially, because of that, we don't actually, it's not in stereo, it's in mono now, so you need to have a bit of a play with that. So let's go around the back, we'll have a look. They were very kind to put the cabinet on wheels as well too, because it weighs a ton. I lifted it out of the back of the camper van and I nearly killed myself with the weight of it. So, okay, so let's see, here's our speaker connector here. So, it says speakers front there, okay? And then we have the surround speakers, which are the little satellite speakers on the top. And there's switches. Yeah, see, there's something strange going on here. What I think I'll do is I'll wire up the speakers, 2 speakers directly to the amp and take the box out of it, because I want to make sure that both channels of the amp are actually working, because if they're not, then we have to investigate that further. There may be a fault. So let's do that and see how we fare out. Okay, so now I have the 2 speakers on the top wired directly into the amp. So the switch box has been taken out of the equation. You know, the young lad and the dog are both in their element there. So that's what the rattling noise is in the background. Family life. Okay, so let's hit play on this again, see how we fare out. Okay, so the left channel's not working. Right, so now we need to find out why that is, okay? So the first thing we do is we see if it's not working on every channel or if it's literally just on the CD player, because it could be just a cable that goes between the CD player and the amplifier. And then after that we start looking at dusty pots and I'm sure people are going to be making comments about living down the road from some guy called Dusty Potts or whatever, but anyway. Oh. The music is coming off that little yoke over there. So, right. So there's the CD player, right? So it's our left channel is not working, okay? So literally all I'm doing is I'm just twisting it just to see if it, just a bit of dust. Okay, it was on surround and stereo wide, and that for some reason made that speaker not work very well. So now that's working. And there's something coming out of that, but it's not as loud. So let's, yeah, we see the balance is still not bringing it over. But if I turn that up, right, and we need to have a look here to see what's going on. Put on CD direct. So that takes out the equalizer. So it's not going to be the equalizer causing the problem. Okay, so basically what this means is we do have one audio channel which isn't working. Right, so let's try our tuner. See if we can actually receive any radio stations here. There is a wire connected to it, so let's go to tuner. And it's on AM, so we want FM. So let's see now. Mode. Not doing it. Ah, there we go. Alright, so I'm sorry to say, but finding a decent radio station in Ireland is a little bit difficult. If you're not into commercial pop music, you're somewhat limited. But other radio stations just pay lip service to indie or alternative music. Radio Nova is about the only one that actually plays anything worthwhile most of the day. But they tend to play a lot of the same stuff. Anyway, rant over. Right. So there's interference there, buzzing, but I'm not worried about that. The young lad's toy there plays music as well. That's what's playing in the background. Okay. So that speaker's working. I can hear it. But it's kind of a strange sort of issue, so we need to track this down. So let's I need to have a think about this. We'll come back to it now in a minute. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to be going and retiring my nice 70s Toshiba system just yet. I never intended to anyway, really. I just want to kind of do this up as a bit of a project and use it for a while the young lad feels the need to kind of pull the knobs off the front of stereo components and all that as well too. This cabinet has a nice glass front on it, and the speakers are a little bit more protected as well. So that's kind of my goal here, but unfortunately that left channel just doesn't seem to be working, and it seems to be something internal. So what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take the back off the amp. One of two options which I can look at fairly easily is see if there's any output fuses. Maybe an output fuse is gone, and the other possibility is to clean the potentiometers, the volume pot, balance pot, see if there's any wires off, obviously burnt components, and go from there. Now the other thing I need to do as well too is I need to find out what the specs are for the amplifier, so see what resistance it can tolerate. As I would think these speakers, I'm looking to see, I'll just have a look and see, there's no sticker on the back to say what sort of impedance they are, so I'll stick a meter on them and see what they are. But let's say, for example, there's two 6 ohm speakers. That pulls the resistance down to 3 ohms, which would be usually outside of spec for most amps. Very few amps, especially in the early 90s and late 80s, that would have been able to tolerate 3 ohms for any extended period. So it's a possibility that by using the 4 speakers, they've actually blown the amp. So it can be fixed, of course, you know. I mean, it's just that whether I have the experience or the expertise to fix it or not is a different matter. But what we'll do is we'll leave that for another video. I'll take the back off it, we'll have a look, see what we can figure out, and if I can't fix it, what I'll do is I'll send it up to get repaired at a proper repair shop and get it back working properly. So we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll keep you updated with my progress. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.